There are many summons to unlock in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, including a super powerful hidden one that you might not know about. We'll tell you everything you need to know to get them yourself without any story spoilers of course, so let's go. The first summon you are able to earn is the Massive Titan, and you of course access his fight in Chadley's Combat Simulator. This chunky boy is weak to wind, and exploiting that weakness will allow you to pressure it, but other than that, this is one of the more straightforward summon fights. That doesn't mean it's easy though, but luckily there's a way to make the fight less difficult. New for Rebirth are these special crystals you can find in a summon's region, which in Titan's case are the grasslands. Activating these crystals allows you to lower the difficulty of the summon fight, with there being 3 crystals and difficulties per summon. What's even more important is that activating these also powers up the summoning materia by 1 level, with the final one unlocking a new attack for each summon. So even if you want to fight a summon at their full power, it's still worth it to unlock these crystals so you immediately get the reward at max level. And I'm showing you the location for each summoning crystal in the grasslands region on the map here so you can hunt them down yourself. Onto our second region, Junon, where we can go hunting for crystals that help increase the power of the summon Phoenix. Even though it's the second summon you can get, Phoenix is a very worthwhile addition to your arsenal as it has some amazing support abilities, including one that revives a down party member at full health. Its ultimate ability also heals, so even if some of the later summons deal more damage, Phoenix support abilities make it a great fit for endgame content too. Luckily the fight isn't too difficult, but it is a bit unusual as the legendary bird uses summoned creatures that need to be killed before you can damage it. So make sure to burst those down as soon as they spawn, use Assess to check for any elemental weaknesses, and you should be able to take the win without any trouble. If you want to go after Phoenix's crystals in the Junon region, it's good to know that grabbing the regional chocobo is required to reach some of the crystals. As soon as you've done that, you want to head to the 3 locations we're showing on the Junon map here for the summon crystals for Phoenix. One of these spots also requires that you complete a side quest for Rhonda, which starts over here on the map. So definitely something you don't want to miss, and we have more videos with tips and tricks for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth up on the channel and coming your way, so subscribe to not miss those and leave a like if you enjoyed the video so far. Next up is the Coral region, which houses in my opinion the coolest looking summon of the bunch, the massive construct known as Alexander. The fight against it has you destroying both his arms in order to open a pressure and damage window, so make sure to pack some high power lightning attacks as that is what he is weak against. He also applies a dangerous debuff that can be removed with the spell Isuna, so make sure at least one of your party members is packing a level 2 cleansing materia. I'm showing you the location of Alexander summoning crystals on the map again, and keep in mind that some of these require you use your grappling hook. For our fourth summon, we are battling the elemental beast Kujata. This one is also nice to add to your roster as its 3 summon attacks offer quite a bit of elemental versatility, meaning you can easily exploit an enemy's weakness for some extra damage. He will also use this trick to imbue himself with elements over the course of the summon fight, which you need to counter to prevent his ultimate attack. I used Yuffie's ninjutsu to constantly swap to the opposing element, using wind to counter lightning, fire against ice, and ice against fire, but any elemental spells or abilities will do the trick. When it comes to the crystals, we're going hunting in the Gongaga region, which also has a special regional chocobo that's required to reach some of the crystals. It's unlocked through story progress though, so once you have it, head to these spots on your map for the Kujata crystals. The 5th regional summon is the dragon Bahamut, and I really love how, like Kujata, the fight emphasizes a specific element of combat. In Bahamut's case, your victory against him really depends on you making good use of your synergy skills and abilities. You need to do this in order to survive, as it removes the particles Bahamut attaches to you, which explode when left unchecked. It's also the only way to pressure him and in turn stagger him to unleash your own damage, so make sure to mix in synergy skills with your regular attacks and abilities. Now Bahamut's crystals are located in Cosmo Canyon, which is another region with a unique chocobo that we want to unlock first. After doing so, there's 3 crystals hidden on the map again in the spots we're showing you here. And then it's on to the final regional summon, which is Odin in the Nibel region. He is unsurprisingly the toughest of the region's summoned bosses, but his ultimate Santetsuken is one of the highest base damage attacks in the game, so you definitely want to beat him to unlock the summon. And the fight is pretty intense as you need to keep pressuring him with offensive abilities while dodging his attacks. If he hits you too many times without you hitting back, he will trigger his ultimate attack, and that's of course something you want to avoid at all costs. To make matters even worse, he switches his attack pattern twice during the fight, and once he reaches a state where he can be pressured, he will also apply many buffs to himself. So stay on the offensive, and once he becomes pressured, use abilities with high stagger damage damage like focused thrust to bring him to his knees as quickly as you can. But yeah, definitely worth it to grab some crystals from the region to make the fight a bit easier. Again, you need a region specific chocobo to get to these crystals, so once you have it, visit these 3 spots to find the Odin crystals. Now before we move on to that super powerful secret summon, you of course also start the game out with some summons. It is worth noting that these cannot be powered up like your regional summons, which means they are less useful in the end game. Still though, your starting 3 summons, Ifrit, Shiva and the Chocobo and Moogle combo are of course Final Fantasy classics, so always nice to have them in your arsenal. And if you have a save file for the previous game, you might start out with even more summoning materia. If you have a save file for FF7 Remake, you can grab yourself the Leviathan summoning materia after finishing chapter 1. And if you also have a save file for the Yuffie DLC Intermission, you can add the lightning wielding Ramuh to that list as well. For people who bought the digital deluxe version of the game, you can also claim the magic pot summoning materia also after chapter 1. You get all of these by accessing the DLC and bonuses section of the settings menu, so don't forget to do that to claim your extra summons. However, the true star of the show, at least when it comes to summons, is the eccentric swordsman Gilgamesh. In order to get to him, we need to put in a lot of work though, as accessing the location for the fight requires you to complete every single proto-relic quest in the game. So these are the special quests that Chadley calls you about once it's unlocked in a region. They will always be marked with this icon on your map, so they're not that hard to find. But each offers a new minigame or a twist on gameplay to keep you on your toes, which means you can't just rush through it with a powerful endgame build. So just enjoy the quest lines and the minigames. Like with the summons, there's one for each region, and then once you've done all of them, a new island will open up in the Meridian Ocean where you will be able to challenge Gilgamesh and add him as a summon. Before you do this though, you want to make sure that you have beaten every summon in Chadley's battle simulator. That's because in order to fight Gilgamesh, we need to complete 3 special battles on the island, and you need to have specific summoning materia in your inventory to access these special battles. And they are really special, as they will have you fight not 1 but 2 summons at the same time. So now you have multiple mechanics you need to worry about in a single fight. The main thing you want to do in every battle is to focus down on one boss first, as fighting a single summon is much easier than constantly facing 2. My first pairing was Bahamut and Titan, and I found that killing Titan by constantly spamming wind attacks with Yuffie worked pretty well, so I recommend focusing him down first. When it comes to the Odin and Alexander combo, there's an obvious first target, as Odin will become angry if you don't attack him enough, which will trigger his Zantetsuken, and we don't want that to happen. And your final pairing, Kujata and Phoenix, is a bit of a tricky one. Kujata will also release a powerful ultimate attack if you don't counter his elemental changes, but if you kill it first, Phoenix will revive it with an attack that also hurts you. So you kinda need to pick your poison in that one, but once you prevail in all 3 of these double trouble fights, you're up for one final challenge against the Master Swordsman Gilgamesh. In order to win the fight against him, there are a couple of things you can do before you jump in. One thing is to make sure that someone in your party has the subversion materia, as Gilgamesh will buff himself a lot, so you'll want to remove those buffs as soon as possible. Second, make sure someone in your active party has the summoning materia for Phoenix equipped, as that's the only summon that can both resurrect allies and it also heals you with its ultimate attack. Since the battle against Gilgamesh is very much a war of attrition, every bit of free healing you can get really helps. During the fight, make sure to exploit his weakness against fire, but your main focus should be blocking as many attacks as you can. You want to go for perfect blocks, so the ones that negate all damage, and push the offensive while Gilgamesh is not attacking. You see, the main mechanic for this fight is that the Master Swordsman is much more than just a swordsman and starts pulling out all kinds of weapons over the course of the battle. Blocking at the right time and dealing damage to him will allow you to break some weapons, which A, removes part of his moveset so you don't have to deal with it, and B, pressures him to allow you to set up a stagger. So I recommend you just take a couple of attempts to get to terms with the timing of his moves. I found his gap closer, so attacks like Draw Slash and Helm Splitter the easiest to exploit, but ideally you want to block every hit coming your way. After claiming victory against Gilgamesh, you'll unlock the summoning materia for him, which does not need to be leveled, and you also receive the crafting schematic for 3 new accessories with pretty unique buffs. Finally, Chadley will also update the battle simulator with new brutal and legendary challenges, so definitely worth the long grind it takes to reach and beat Gilgamesh. Let us know your favorite summon in the comments below, leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and if you want, you can watch our early tips and tricks video by clicking clicking on the screen. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.